the straw that broke the camel's back? Meaning, prior to that, Trump for 4 years, you must have seen the writing on the wall on the media side of things for the media bias, right?
Yes, absolutely. Go back to when Trump came down the escalator. I remember, first of all, I interviewed Obama 1 year apart from my first time going to the Trump White House. So I saw the difference in how the media treated Obama and Trump, because 1 year later I went to the Trump White House, and it was like night and day, polar opposite. They went from being lapdogs for Obama, everything he did, every policy he did was just perfect, to attack dogs with Trump, not giving him even a chance to do anything. So,
and were some of these your friends, your colleagues, people that you've known for 20, 30 years?
Yeah, when Trump came down the escalator, I missed that live. And one of the guys in the newsroom came up to me. He doesn't work there anymore. I call him the socialist in the newsroom. And he would probably agree that he was the socialist in the newsroom. And he was talking about how terrible this speech was at the bottom of the escalator. And it was just racist and awful. And I thought, really? I mean, this can't be, it couldn't be that bad. Everyone in the newsroom was talking about how awful it was. So I went home that night, found it on YouTube, watched it, and it was like angels singing. I went, oh my gosh, finally a guy who is speaking my language and the language of the American people. This is what I've been looking for since I registered as a Republican in 1988 after, right when I turned 18 because of Ronald Reagan. I was a hero. He was a hero of mine. I was a fan of Ronald Reagan's. And then somewhere between Reagan and Trump, the Republican Party lost its way. It became the party of warmongers. And I know what happened. I think we all do. It became the uniparty. That's when the swamp reared its ugly head. And anytime anybody speaks out against the war machine, they get brought down, whether it be JFK, whether it be the attempt on Ronald Reagan's life. And here we had a guy who was audacious enough to say, I'm going to speak out against that. We don't want to start endless wars. We don't want to have a wide open border. Why is our economy not working for the middle class? I mean, he said everything that America was waiting to hear. And I noticed how the media immediately went into attack mode. And that was a bit of a wake-up call. I mean, I was always pro-Trump, but on the air, you have to keep yourself neutral. But the people, nobody around me was keeping themselves neutral. They were going anti-Trump the entire time.
Publicly.
Yeah, right. It was acceptable for the first time as a journalist to be anti a U.S. president on the air. And I thought, there's something going on here.
Did you have conversations with your colleagues saying, hey, listen, let's do our job. Let's be journalists, not activists. Like, pull back the Wizard of Oz curtain here. What were the conversations like within your own media business?
It's really hard when you're a conservative in the news business because you are surrounded by, I would say, 95% of the people in newsrooms around the country in legacy media, mainstream media, are liberal. And so you know these people. You like these people. They're your friends. You work with them for 30 years, 27 years, 20 plus years, and they're your friends. There were some conservatives, and you try to kind of, when you go into an editorial meeting, you try to kind of ease into it. You're hearing all of these stories coming from a left bent, and you try to ease into it and go, well, wait, maybe, on balance, we could also interview somebody who has this perspective. So you try to kind of word it that way. On balance, that was a famous line. Maybe on balance, we should do this as well. If we're going to cover that story, on balance, perhaps we should talk to so-and-so, just to give it more balance.
And by the way, you're saying that's my interest, because I want to know what that world is all about behind closed doors. Because, if you watch this video, we've all seen this video. You've seen this video as well. This shows how, you can press play already. They're all unison on the same message they're given. Okay, we've all seen this.
Oh, yeah.
Iowa communities.
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about troubling irresponsible, one-sided news stories
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
So let this roll, not the whole thing.
Oh, painful.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias.
Okay, pause right there, Rob. Pause right there. Okay, so check this out. This is what's weird about it, and this is kind of what I need your help with. So you got NBC there, you got Fox there, you got ABC there, you got CBS there. It's not like it's one or the other. These are different companies. how are they all saying the same thing? Are they watching each other? Is it like, is it coming from the pulpit at the top where one person is saying, these are the words to use, these are the trigger words, this is what we all have to be united on, this is what, the mob had these 5 families that at one point, the Italian mobs, they made this commission that the Gambino, Genovese, Colombo, all these families came together. And then Lucky Luciano was running it, and Lucky's the one that told everybody what to do to make sure people are not killing each other, to make sure we kind of have control of all the businesses together. Is there a Lucky in media, Luciano, that's telling everyone what words to say and what words not to say? If yes, who? If no, why are they all using the same exact script?
Well, I like the mob, comparison because there are 5 or 6 families or entities that are controlling the mainstream media. Thankfully, now we have alternative media. We have podcasts. We have shows where we can get information that's more balanced for sure. But this is a situation where that's a conglomerate that owns all those stations. That's why you might see one that's CBS, one that's NBC, and I believe it was Sinclair. And the irony of this, and I don't want to stick up for this at all because they're all saying the exact same thing, but I believe Sinclair was a little more balanced, and they were trying to say, look, we're coming in, we own these stations, everyone's gone completely left, and we want our viewers to know we're going to be balanced. We're not going to push an agenda. But in their effort to put this statement out that somebody at the top wrote, they looked like fools because everyone said the exact same thing in unison, and that clip was made. But the real truth about that clip is that this was an attempt by, I believe it was Sinclair, to tell their audience, look, we're going to try not to put our opinion in. Unfortunately, when they put it together like that, it just showed that there's one huge conglomerate that owns so many stations. And I don't remember how many they own. We'd have to count the boxes there. But this is the problem. When I started in media in the early 90s, there would be, in any given town, there'd be 5 stations or 3 stations, and there would be a family that owned one station. Maybe a company owned another one.
Got it.
And then during the 90s, they started getting bought up. So you might buy 5 stations in the Midwest, and then you buy another 10 more, and you cover the Northwest. And pretty soon you own, as a media owner, you owned 30 stations across the country.
And that could be ABC, CBS, NBC, because you're kind of hosting their show.
And that's when things get really repetitive, because I even today I get my news clippings every day, and I'll see a story about me, and then I watch it on another station halfway across the state or across the country, and it's the exact same script. Different anchors are reading it because it's one conglomerate who owns all those stations.
And that one script is coming from the top conglomerate to say, these are the words we're using?
Right.
And it goes on the teleprompter, you just read it?
Right. But now this is the difference. When I worked for Fox, we would get those same things. The clips would come down from wherever across the country. Other stations were doing stories. They would come to us. The script is already written. But you can rewrite scripts. If you have a good work ethic or you don't like what they say, you can rewrite them so that it is different. I didn't want to just be repeating the same words as somebody across the country. You want to look at that script and make sure it's written properly. Not all anchors do that.
So you worked at a Fox affiliate when you were first getting started. You're talking about a Fox affiliate you worked at, and Fox for the longest time has been known as, Rupert Murdoch. He just stepped away. He gave it to his son, and he was in the space for 60 years. They had Roger Ailes. They've produced a lot of players over the years. O'Reilly, Megyn Kelly, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, Tucker Carlson. They've had a lot of stars at Fox. And they were known as the enemy to the left. They were known as the enemy. Fox is against American values. While we know maybe at many places Fox has the conservative values that America has, but the left would attack it all the time. And then you were on Piers Morgan, the interview that you did a couple months ago. Could have been even less than that. And you said, Fox News is now protecting the globalist agenda, right? They're now a globalist media outlet. When did you see, as somebody that's been in the space, them making that transition of just being an organization that we could go to for conservative eyeballs to all of a sudden becoming a support of the globalist agenda?
Well, that's my opinion, first of all. I think that they're a company and they have the right to run their company however they want. They used to be considered the conservative network, and now I see them as they're pushing away from America First, Trump, anybody but Trump. That's my opinion. It looks like they've gone toward the globalist agenda. This is the problem in America. We've got Marxists on the left, and we've got globalists somewhere in that mix as well, the Paul Ryans of the world. I mean, Paul Ryan is a pretty top player over there. Karl Rove is a top player over there. These are the kind of neocon guys who are into a globalist agenda right now. And so that's my opinion. That's kind of where they've gone. They're moving away from their conservative values, and I think they're moving more toward being globalist conservatives, if you can put it that way.
When you say over there, you're talking about the World Economic Forum. What do you mean?
At Fox.
Oh, at Fox, you're saying.
So before we get into, I want to know, because in the
but
video,
they've made a change. They've definitely made a change.
Fox has.
Yeah, I mean, how often do you see the Trump kids on? Hardly ever, if ever.
When do you think that happened?
I think that they are anybody but Trump. I think Paul Ryan hates Trump. That's my opinion. And he doesn't want Trump. That's why they put all their money behind DeSantis, and now they're realizing that's not working out.
And Paul has that kind of weight at Fox today?
Yes.
Really?
Wow.
And Carl, who has more weight, Paul or Carl?
I think Paul Ryan has a lot of weight over there. I don't know what his position is, if he's chairman of the board or what it is, but he's got a lot of power.
It's the same guy.
They got rid of Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Because he was actually, my thinking is going into this election, they know how important this election is. Think about what the world did to try to bring Trump down. They did a lot. I mean, a lot of the COVID agenda was meant to, in my opinion, disrupt an election, force mail-in ballots, because they can't beat Trump based on policy. They knew that, oh my gosh, this guy's going to be even more popular than he was in 2016. He won the most votes of any incumbent president in history. That's why they had to go all out on Joe Biden, basement Biden, and try to convince everybody that he won the most votes in history, which is absolutely absurd. And the fact that people checked their intelligence and logic and believe that is even crazier.
I mean, Joe Biden, he's going to go down as the greatest motivational speaker of all time.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.